Alrighty, folks. It is time for round two of Grand Prix Darkhold Enterprises. We're up against All Who Wander. Not a previous Brawl winner like our last round opponent, but All Who Wander has made the top cut of every previous Brawl tournament that there has been. So, still a player with some solid pedigree behind their experience with this format. All Who Wander also just a very skilled player in the format's history as well. Member of the curation team. So they kind of know what they're doing. And they brought the defending champion commander from last time around, which is Phenax Brazen Thief. He's a blue and a black for 3/1 legendary human rogue. Whenever he or another rogue deals combat damage to me or my planeswalker, that is my commander, each player mills 2 cards, and then when Phenax is in their graveyard and they actually want to put Phenax in the graveyard, they can pay 3 at least 1 blue, 1 black, and exile 5 other cards from their graveyard to return Phenax from the graveyard to the battlefield transformed. So this is a bit of a mill deck. Phenax Poison Tongue on the backside is a 5/5 indestructible. As long as devotion to blue and black is less than 7, isn't a creature. Notably, I believe Phenax does not contribute any devotion on the backside, so it will actually require a full 7 devotion outside of Phenax to get to that point. But that's not really important. The important thing is just that at each end step, I will have to mill a number of cards equal to the number of cards that were put into my graveyard throughout the turn from anywhere. And then my opponent will gain life equal to the cards milled this way. So that's going to be a lot of potential life gain for my opponent. And while I am a graveyard strategy that could punish them for milling me, they are intent on using my mill against me by letting it just accelerate me to my demise. So they have a couple good mill tools like Laystone of Ruin, Athenai's Reveler. They've got Aduna's Smuggler just to make us mill 2, and they scry 2. Orestes can mill us for 2 whenever they attack and give their creatures menace as long as we have 8 cards in our graveyard, which we're almost always going to have at least 8. Post-Weft Psionic. Each player's upkeep, they mill X, where X is the number of tapped permanents their opponents control. Signal Inversion, Thassa's Tideshaper, just like a couple small creatures that are just going to be really annoying, and then like Merciless Ruin or Malicious Skycleaver to kind of pick off our board. A lot of tedious enchantments. Defect steals one of our creatures and gives it Decayed. Earthly Penchants can just integrate, eat away at our library. Omen of Deception, Counterspell, Omen of Slaughter, Edict. Shrine to Phenax, more mill. Laystone of Ruin, mill similarly. Founding of the 12, also mill, and they can come up with the board with 1/1 humans. Path of Phenax, really good. We've got it as well. More counterspell stuff and removal stuff with Divine Mishap, Downlink Overload, Isolated Misery, good creature or enchantment removal, and can pad their life total. Maim picks off creatures or planeswalkers mana value 3 or less, or if they control a legendary creature. So we can actually, if Maim is targeting our 4-mana planeswalker and their legendary creature is Phenax, we can blank a Maim by picking Phenax off in response, which is pretty nice. There's also Out with the Old, is just unconditional removal. Poison Strike removes a creature we control with 3 or less toughness and makes us mill 3. Seafloor Treasures leverages their graveyard, gets some card advantage. Turn to next counter is going to almost always counter anything for 1 and a blue. They've got 24 lands. Don't believe there's really too much utility here. They've got Hollow Chamber and High Techian, so if we've got like a really good utility land, they can steal it and give us a copy. So they can take our utility land from us. They've got the creature land that can be pretty good. Lost and Found could be decent card selection in the late game if they draw it while flooding. Protean Bows could be decent in the late game if they just need to make some 1/1s. And these are shapeshifters with changelings, so these tokens will trigger Phenax for the rogue ability on the front side. Celise and Thovius Edi are both particularly annoying. Celise gets to drain us and gain them 3 if we if they end their turn with us having an even number of cards in our hand. 0 is even. And they can uptick to draw cards and lose life, or downtick for the 4 loyalty that she starts with to just kind of nuke our hand. We have to exile cards from our hand. Then they can choose to either let the cards that we exiled stay there, or swap the ones we exiled with the stuff we still have in hand. And then there's Thovius Edi, 4 mana, more restrictive casting cost for another 4 loyalty planeswalker, draws cards on a delay, forces us to sacrifice 2 creatures at a delay, or takes 2 extra turns after Thovius is cast again. And when he dies, he gets put into the library third from the top. Pretty annoying on that regard. And then of course we've got to deal with Chronicle of Extinction. There's also Chronicle of Precedence, which flashback mode can mill us for 21. That kills pretty fast. With the rest of their pressure, Dissect Intel rips our hand apart. Forced Shutdowns, another creature or enchantment removal. Grasp of the Elements is actually a bit of a board clear. Going to target one of our things, presumably to have us put it on top or bottom of our library, and then everything else in play gets bounced. Invasion's End gives all of our creatures defender counters. Lost to Memory is the one really good card for us, I think. I think they just never cast this for X's anything. It is X blue. They make X blue shrine tokens with, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent mills a card, and then they can pay 2 and exile it from their graveyard to draw 2 cards if we have 8 or more cards in our graveyard. The reason why this is really good for us and therefore not something they want to play is Jack is just going to gain us a bunch of life and deal a bunch of damage to them as we mill cards. So pretty awkward for them in that regard. Phenax's Judgment can just nuke us for 8 cards. And then Ruiner's Hijacking can steal one of our best creatures or reanimate one of their good cards, or they can just pay 2, discard it, draw a card, and mill us for 3. So that's sort of a quick run through of what the opponent has going for them. Fortunately, we do have things like Masksmith and Disestablishmentarianism for picking off Phenax, so the biggest danger of them just gaining life out of reach of us is kind of addressed in that regard. And then Jack will be able to punish a lot of their mill effects. But something that we need to be really mindful of, especially in the context of Game 2 of last round, is that we want to try and keep hands, dig for and sculpt hands that can cast Jack either just in general or especially a little ahead of curve. If we can find a Tough Nut, if we can find... and there is our opponent here. If we can find Tough Nut, if we can find Mana Harvesters, if we can find... where are you? I know there's another Mana Dork here. It's been a couple days. Concurrent Escapist. If we can find one of these 3, or the Root Fossil, that would be ideal. So we're going to dive into this match here. See who wins the die roll. I've got a 5. They've got a 10, so I'm presumably going to be... Yeah, they said they're going to play, so we will ship on over to them and then look at our first hand. 3 lands, Morbid Bloomer, Downlink Overload, Pressuring Ghoul, Lurking Virkolakis. So I know I just said, like, we really shouldn't keep hands that cannot intend on taking game actions. But, like, Morbid Bloomer is really good against their mill plan. Pressuring Ghoul, Lurking Virkolakis can be pretty good against them as well. We could, like, they could go turn 2 Phenax, we hold up Downlink Overload, mill them for 2, and they go, oh, that's great. Well, I'll just get to Phenax faster, and then we can play Lurking Virkolakis and say no. I think the only reason we wouldn't necessarily want to Downlink Overload Phenax is if we see them drop like a turn 1 Laystone here. So we're going to keep our first hand, no free mulligan here. We're going to have to ride out on these cards, see if we can find a 4th land for Jack, and then let our 2-drops guide us to victory. Swamp here. I manifested it! God damn it. Let's see. They're going to mill us for 6, and then they mill 2. Out with the old, we mill Arduous Miners, Hardy Rough Rider, Forest, Miasmic Cove, Forest, and Chronicle of Extinction. Let's pop these graveyards out here and get graveyards arranged in a place where we can see them. Ominous Slaughter is the pickup here. Swamp and pass. Man, that is exactly what we don't want to see turn 1. 1 copy of this in the 59, but yeah, what can you do? They're casting Phenax. So we have an important thing to weigh here, which is, do we ever downlink overload this? So we both mill 2. Concurrent Escapist and Urban Explorer, they mill 2 lands. I think we can't let this stick in play. So they're going to put this in their graveyard. We're going to mill them for 2. That's going to tee them up to exile Phenax and get it online next turn. We hit their board wipe on Grasp of the Elements. We had a Merciless Ruiner as well. We will untap and draw. This is not super valuable against them. Okay, we've seen Ruiner, which dies to it, Phenax, which dies to it. They have Tideshaper dies to it. Smuggler and Reveler are all that dies to it. So we either hold this for one of those 3 and only one of those 3, or we specifically use it to try and hold it to try and pick off their commander on the recast. As far as right now, though, the big question is, if we go for Lurking Vircolacus, Phenax is... yeah, it's each opponent mills X works the number of cards put into their graveyard from anywhere this turn. They can stack Laystone, so that way Laystone resolves first. Yeah, so it can resolve favorably. Yeah, Lurking Vircolacus is just going to be a little slow. I'm going to run out Morbid Bloomer here, because Morbid Bloomer can pick up a land to kind of get us going. Yeah, Bloomer. And if they want to keep Morbid Bloomer from accelerating us back into this game, or sort of getting us into this game in the first place, them interacting with Bloomer gives us a window to try and find an answer to Phenax. Because every turn they leave Bloomer around is a turn that we get to kind of spring back into this. If they run out a blocker for Bloomer, I will just Omen of Slaughter it, I think regardless of what it is. Because that lets me Omen, Forest, use Bloomer, buy back a 4th land. Opponent is thinking that is perfectly fine. I took some time to talk through my plans for this past turn. They have a Primal Fisher. They are paying to... They are going to hit us with the Ominous Slaughter. That is all good by me. Can't stop that. We mill Path of Phenax, Harvest Time. So Harvest Time solves that land problem, as mentioned. That's pretty nice. We will untap, draw, Pull of Tizerus. It's just awkward. We want to get Lurking Vircolacus out sooner rather than later, because this not having haste means we need it to attack to get any value out of it. But I think we need to go Pressuring Ghoul, land drop, Harvest Time. And my only concern is I don't want to grab a land from my library because I don't want to thin my library out. I would rather keep as many cards in library as possible. But I do also need a second black source for most of my spells. Hey, yeah, I think it's gonna have to be... We're gonna have to get a swamp here. Pressuring Ghoul. See if they have a response. They say, okay. Do we get a counter? They say we can have a counter. Cool. Let's go to combat. Punch in for 2. They're going to take it. Main 2. Let's Surface Harvest Time. Yeah, I think we just got to go find a swamp from the library. Yet again, though, like, we're seeing a lot of our forests. Opponent is going to Save some time in Primal Fisher now. We're just going to head over on the end steps, see what they want to do here. They're getting an island. And just untapping. Alrighty. What do they have? Murky Path tapped. Presumably it's just Phenax, right? Like eat 5 lands Phenax? Yep. What 5 cards he eaten? Ship things to exile. They say they're thinking. It's going to be all 3 swamps. Primal Fisher. Yeah, it's just going to be all 5 lands. All right. We're going to mill 4. They're going to gain 2. Might they exile 6? Just inquiring on that. They meant to only exile 5. Okay. All right. Cool. So let's see how they stack end step triggers. Go to end step. I'll stack that Phenax resolves after the Laystone. All right. I mill 4. You gain 2. Mill 2. Cool. So Exorcist of Errors, Temple of Origins, Hollowed Chamber, All That Remains. All That Remains. I can play All That Remains on second main phase, which is pretty nice. Sorry, I can play it on end step after a Phenax trigger. Granted, it will fill my graveyard, but I kind of just need to find something right now. We will untap. We will draw. We found the swamp, so we've got lands aplenty. We can take a couple different avenues of gambling here. I think we have to go for Lurking Virkolakis now. We just have to develop it while we still have time. Let's see how they feel about a Pressuring Ghoul trigger. Okay, they're giving us a counter. Sacrificing or discarding a land is not a may on that uptick. I kind of want to just put Jack into play and not activate him. Is that crazy? Okay, so let's see. If I play Jack, I mill 2 cards, deal 1 to them. Go to end step, I mill 2, they gain 2, deal 1 to them. It's not worth... It is not worth activating Jack right now, but it is worth getting Jack in play for the damage, potentially. That being said, I think Jack for damage right now, there's not enough instances of permanence going to graveyard for me to need to put Jack into play. So I think it's going to be developing Lurking Virkolakis here, holding up an All That Remains on their end step after Phenax has resolved. So we deal 3, and we're just going to pass. No cards go to our graveyard, so we don't mill anything. They have 5 cards in hand to our 4. Probably pitching Failed Gateway to this All That Remains here. This is just not the matchup for it. These other removal spells also really awkward. Temple of Deceit. Other thing to note here is based on the removal spell that our opponent gets, or like what they have to play here. Okay, they're going to play Post-Weft Psionic. I'm going to say K. They're floating a black. I'm just gonna say K. Triggers as before. We mill 4 things, 3 lands. Phenex's Judgment defect from them. Those are both things I'm happy to see go away here. They gain 2. Let's Omen of Slaughter the post-weft Psionic, so we don't mill 4/5 here. Would have loved to get that with a Jack in play, but we make do with what we can. We untap. We draw Temple of Malady. I think here it's going to be cast Jack. Opponent says okay. We play Swamp, pressuring Ghoul trigger. And yeah, I don't think we're activating Jack at all. Opponent gives us the counter. What flashback spells do they have? They have Chronicle of Precedence. Yeah, we don't need the life gain here. Let's move to combat. Lurk Eater Chronicle. So this is hitting for 7. And I think we just pass here. No Jack activation. I just don't think it is worthwhile. We can hold this Temple of Malady because we can use it with a Jack +1 to discard the Temple, get back a more relevant land. We can get back Time-Worn Crags potentially and just pick off one of their lands. Though Crag's a little expensive to activate right now. They say need to check something. So rules call potentially being had here. It feels so weird to have Jack in play and not activate him. Like maybe it could be worthwhile, but the problem is just like the point of activating Jack is that it deals damage, but Phenax actually gains them more life than we deal damage here. Now, if we mill a oh god, words. If we mill Masksmith, that's the card I was thinking of. If we mill Masksmith, that allows us to Jack discard a land. They're gonna play Orestes here. We're gonna say K. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, were they checking if Phenax counts for devotion? 1, 2. They're gonna maim. I see. And this will count as a card going to our graveyard. Yeah. All right. So we're going to have to mill 5 cards here. They gain 3. And step triggers always. Ozon's Blessing, Root Fossil, Mana Harvesters, Swamp, and Swamp. So the door's still open for us to draw Masksmith here. Or actually, we have 2 different cards we can draw here. After Phenax resolves, cast all that remains, discarding Failed Gateway. So we're going to look at the top 3. Sifting through Soot, Forest. Soot is just too slow. But we can use Inner Rings Pupil really effectively here. I think it's going to be Inner Rings Pupil. And we ship these to the graveyard. So Temple of Malady is going to be more about what do we want to lose? Is the thing on top of our library something we're okay losing, or is it something we need to put back into the deck? Stack Scry to resolve after Ghoul. See if they discard. Presumably no. They say nope. So Ghoul is a 5/5. I'm glad I ran this out when I did. This thing has seen a lot of value. 4 land drops, 4 counters. And we're going to get rid of that last card anyways. People. Oop. Oop, hold on. Ugh, I'm not supposed to see this. I still have a scry to resolve. I shouldn't know about the dissect intel. Alright. Opponent says sure. We're going to take a look at the top 1. Yeah, that's fine to lose. Okay, yeah, the dissect intel wouldn't have changed anything. Get out of here. So we have 1 card go to the graveyard. What do they have here that we want to pick off? Probably just the Merciless Ruiner in case they find a reanimation spell. Is that worth hitting over anything in our graveyard that they could reanimate? Not really. There's really nothing in our graveyard that they could hit that would be awful for us. Maybe Morbid Bloomer, but like, eh. Also, if they reanimate something, we just make Inner Rings Pupil force them to sacrifice it. So, yeah, we absolutely just hit the Merciless Ruiner here to prevent them from reanimating it. We go to combat. Ship in for 9. And this is a pretty real deal clock here. We pass, mill 1, and they gain 1. This is going to be close. On upkeep, they say they're going to crack Ominous Slaughter. Limits their options here. And the nice thing is if they see 2 cards they care about, they only get 1 of them here. So I cannot imagine a world where they keep 2 cards on top unless they see 1 they care about and 1 they are happy to mill. They're putting both to bottom and shuffling. They don't care the order. That's a good sign. What do they have? If it's a land, I don't think you ever run it out because you die if you do. Oh, man, an Inner Rings Pupil, actually, like, even if that gets picked off, while this is representing 10 damage right now, we have, like, if they remove Inner Rings Pupil, they go to 14 here. We play Forest. Oh, they just concede! Oh, my God, I didn't know if we were going to get there. It was looking a little close, but yeah, we just kept them off of their important things, and solid aggression gets the game done. Alrighty. Into game 2 here. No time to waste. Oh, this is so risky. If we keep this and there's nothing going on, because like Skotha, Malicious Skycleaver, Failed Gateway is just so much chaff in our hand that we have no use for. And it's Phenax's Touch, Concurrent, Escapist. And if we had a third land, I'd be interested to try this just on the back of like Escapist getting us to Jack. But I have to take the free mulligan here. Thankfully, it's a free mulligan. Yikes. Goodness gracious. Not like this. Come on. Why does this keep happening? I understand I'm on 23 lands, but like the math doesn't support this being this bad. And that's 4 2-drops as well that I just cannot ever justify keeping, even with one of them being Concurrent Escapist, because like Escapist Masksmith so good against them. Pressuring Ghoul obviously very good. Arduous Miner's pretty great too. Path of Phenax and Barbarous Rough Riders both pretty solid against them as well. It's just we need lands. Okay. Not many lands, but this does solve that problem pretty significantly. We have Hollowed Chamber, Forest, Harvest Time, Ozon's Blessing, Life Hacker, Chronicle, and Pressuring Ghoul. I think we just put the Life Hacker back. Ghoul, obviously really good against them. Harvest Time can go find us a basic swamp for Chronicle. And then we can flash it back later for a green source, and we can have Ozon's Blessing to try and check something important as well. Keep 6. Move this to the bottom. Alrighty. They got Primal Fisher and nothing else. We draw second Swamp. Makes me think now that it's going to be Harvest Time for a Forest here. Let's cast Harvest Time, see what they got. They say, okay. They're going to crack while we do this. We're going to go get a Forest, and they get a Swamp. Presumably a turn 2 Phenax here. Yep, they're just casting Phenax. Tap your mana. There we go. Alrighty. Untap, draw, Root Fossil. A little late on that. If we'd had that turn 1, maybe we could have gone for that. We're just going to run out Hollowed Chamber. Hit them with the return, surprise, surprise. And I'm just going to swing in. I don't mind if they mill us. I don't care if this hits me. This is way better just on the board. I'd rather make them kill this. All right, we take 3. Milling Disestablishmentarianism and Phenax's Touch. They mill Temple of Deceit and Swamp. Notably, we do each mill card, so mill 2. So let's get those graveyards popped back out. Now that there's a couple things in there. Dissect Intel. All right. Well, what's scariest to you? Because I've got Ozon's Blessing, Chronicle of Extinction, and both of these are pretty nasty for them. I imagine it's just Ozon's Blessing, but then we get to just like play and crack Root Fossil next turn. It's possible it's Root Fossil just to deny this graveyard resource from us. They're gonna take Blessing. Not too shocking. I went to go drag it out of the hand reveal window. All right, so Blessing ripped away from us. Play a Swamp and pass. If they had Downlink Overload, they would have just hit the Pressuring Ghoul immediately. Sifting Through Soot's great. I think we're going to run out Root Fossil and Sifting here. So, Sifting Through Soot. Let's go for... let's play the Forest. Sifting gets a Soot counter. We gain 2. No discard, they say, so we get to grow the Pressuring Ghoul, and we will just run out the Root Fossil. No mysteries here. This was the only card they didn't know about. And yeah, we're just gonna race them. Oh, they did have the Downlink Overload. What? All right. We mill Inner Ring's Pupil, Mana Harvesters. That's all good. Yeah. We pass on back. Alrighty. I guess, yeah. I was gonna say, like, well, why would they ever downlink overload? Why would they ever not downlink overload our thing immediately? But, you know, it is fair to recognize that they can just say no discard. They mill Divine Mishap, Shrine to Phenax. We mill Life Hacker and Barbarous Rough Rider. Perfectly fine. We shuffled Life Hacker back closer to the top. They play Enigmatic Fen tapped. Only a single blue, so Divine Mishap, not something they're holding up here. They pass. There are still counterspells they could have here. Turn to Nyx is the big one. So Divine Mishap requires double blue. It's just Turn to Nyx. This is the only thing they could have here. Let's play Swamp. We gain 2. We could just go for Jack instead of the Chronicle, but... They also don't have a lot of hand attack, right? Like, they're not on Exorcist of Errors. They have their own Chronicle of Extinction. That's the, like, risk we're taking. But then if we play Chronicle and they have Chronicle, they still just eat our graveyard anyways. Alternatively, we can Harvest Time and hold up Root Fossil activation. Is that really important? No, I think we just want to go for the Chronicle. We just make them have it. There's one counterspell in the 48 cards available to them. They need to have it in one of the 4 cards they still have left. And attack targeting you. They're going to discard 2 swamps and exile everything. Alrighty. So, did not have the turn to Nyx here. That's a good sign. We just pass. They're going to get to start filling the graveyard again, but ours matters more right now. And I'm really feeling the joy in, to my knowledge, there being no commander damage rule in Brawl, because otherwise this would be a real problem. They mill Laystone, Island. We mill Aspect to the End, Lurking, Virkolakis. Aspect hurts a little bit because Aspect is really good in the face of Transformed Phenax. Oh, Odono Smuggler. Mill us for 2, I assume. They are going to mill us for 2. Temple of Origins, Forest. Would have appreciated... not necessarily drawing the temple, but I would have appreciated having the forest like 2 from the top, so we could have, or the temple 2 from the top, so we could have binned it with Root Fossil here, because I think the plan's going to be Root Fossil, block Root Fossil, use Root Fossil to block Phenax as the Reborn Lily. They play High Techian. That's a real liability against us. We've got Sifting Through, so that punishes them for giving us a land. Yeah, they're just not going to activate right now. They've got 1 card in hand. They can now hold up Divine Mishap. We will draw all that remains. Perfectly fine. Does not matter here. Let's activate. Opponent says okay. You top 3. I'm going to put Forgotten Junkyard and only Forgotten Junkyard into my graveyard. And I'm going to use this as a chance to get multiple Sifting Through triggers while shuffling away the Exorcist of Errors. Because 2/3 blocker seems decent right now. Keep Rest on top. Add counter to Sifting Through Soot. We're going to go find another forest. We get another counter on Sifting Through Soot. And this is Reanimation online next turn. Opponent says okay. We will pass. 35 cards left in library, a little awkward, but we now can block Phenax. And while they kind of want that, like, I'm fine with it at this point. We're crystal. We're crystal clear with how good that is for us. They are going to chip in with both. Yeah, I'm just going to make that block. I'll still have to mill 2 here, but... Yep. They are confirming milling Swamp Primal Fisher. That's fine. This Reborn Lily is really not going to do much in the way of milling. Gonna have to ask for my Ozon's Blessing back. Forced Shutdown. No! They had the Sifting Through Soot answer. Oh! Interesting. And they lose 0. Weird. Why'd they want me to keep Sifting Through Soot here? So we had 2 cards go to our graveyard as they flip Phenax here. Mill me for 4. I'll gain 4. Hold on. Why 4? What? Number of cards put into our graveyard. Okay, yeah. Just 2, so... Yeah, so they take 2. We mill Inklight Dancer, Swamp. Inklight would have been kind of nice to check the Odono Smuggler without putting a card in our graveyard, but I'm still confused as to why they didn't just blow up the Sifting Through Soot. We will untap, draw another land. Gonna cast Jack here. Set counters to 4. We will sacrifice, gain 1, deal 1. Targeting Pressuring Ghoul. So we deal 1 to the opponent. Then we cast the Pressuring Ghoul. Play the Forest. Counter is fine, they say. We gain 2. Another counter on Sifting Through Soot. And no need to hold back the Pressuring Ghoul. Let's chip in for 2. End step, mill 1 card to Phenax. Yep. No, I gain 1. Yeah, they gain 1, lose 1 from Jack. I just go up by 1. Oh my goodness, they drew Chronicle of Extinction. Creature and Planeswalker. That's at least a good sign, though, because that means we don't just lose all of these. I should have played Harvest Time. You know, I really should have played Harvest Time. I'll gain 1, deal 1. This goes here. We're going to ship Jack back to the command zone. We take 2. We mill Elronton Visionary, Temple of Malady. We only need to mill something worth reanimating with Sifting Through Soot, huh? We will untap. Draw Path of Phenax. Oy. What does this do for us? Nothing by itself, but what we can do is we can make up for my mistake from last turn, play Harvest Time, go get a swamp, play the swamp, use all 3 swamps to cast Path of Phenax, and then hold up all that remains on the opponent's end step. We're going to get Swamp from Graveyard. Shuffle is forced. Getting Swamp from GY. And we're going to play that. Sifting Through Soot trigger. We gain 2. Path of Phenax. So the discard Founding of the 12 is a big one. They mill Islands. Oh no, Seafloor Treasures. Thank goodness that's there's only 4 cards in their graveyard right now. Oy. Man, I wanted to hit Chronicle of Extinction with Path of Phenax's trigger, but I'm probably going to have to get Seafloor Treasures now and just take it away from them. Alternatively, if I can get them to enough cards in their graveyard for the Founding of 12 to be exiled by Path of Phenax, that could be a way out of this game, is I just deck them before they deck me. I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This could be 8. Ooh. If we could be sure I'm drawing a land, we can't guarantee that, unfortunately, but if I could guarantee drawing a land, then I could go Hollow Chamber, just gun for Chronicle of Extinction, but right now this actually doesn't do a whole lot. Opponent is going to hit us for 2. Anything else? End step? No mill. After Phenax trigger resolves, all that remains. See if they have a response. They say okay. Let's take a look at the top 3. Duress, Pull of Tizerus, and Swamp. I'm going to take Pull, because I think if they have something important, Duress is not actually... Pull of Tizerus checks the Adonis Smuggler, but land drop gets... like, this will mill me a card if I take it. Whereas taking the Swamp just develops my mana base. Lets me go for Jack into potentially something. I don't know. We untap. We draw Receive. Interesting. They take 2. We gain 2. Let's play Swamp. We gain 2. So many cards in our graveyard, so little in theirs. I like Receive, but I'm almost wondering like if it's even worth using. We're gonna run it out. I don't think I want to discard it to all that remains here. So let's make all tokens. Let's just move this down here for a second. Clear this. ABC. I'm just gonna like slide their graveyard over here because it's becoming a lot to juggle, but I'm trying to find some way of this being presentable. Question now arises of do we... We're not doing this on a main phase, so I think maybe we crack this on our end step. Or do we just go for Jack? I'm still thinking of like what on earth could we possibly use Sifting to reanimate here. It's just Entering's Pupil with them having a card in hand is awkward. I'd much rather it like if their hand is empty. But I think I also should have probably already gone for it. So if I do this now, it's 1 mana, deal 2, 4 mana, sacrifice Entering's Pupil. We get to keep 2 mana up to crack Receive. Or Hollowed Chamber. Okay. Set to 6. Opponent loses 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remove. Let's just actually remove. Let's just sacrifice this. Targeting. Oop. Entering's Pupil. Opponent says okay. They get rid of a Swamp. That was pretty heads up on their part. We move to end step, mill 1 card. It's a forest. Let's slide these over here so we can have the graveyards a little less scrunched. Opponent presumably just going to keep card in hand here. And that's going to... the downside of Path of Phenax is we're going to have to sacrifice it. Oh, opponent is looking at tapping for 2 here. What are they looking to play? Can't play seafloor treasures if that was what they were looking at. Opponent says thinking. Gain control of target land. Thinking if we crack Hollowed Chamber, so if we float the mana and use it to use receive, that is no different than us just cracking the Hollowed Chamber now. If we crack the Hollowed Chamber now, yeah, this just denies them a land. So we're just going to make the 2 treasures. We can use that mana on the receive if we really want to. This just puts a card in our graveyard, so they get to... Why are they holding up the Odono Smuggler? We mill Malicious Skycleaver. Yeah, let's not crack the receive because we might as well just hold the treasures for that. We can do that at any time now. We draw Forlorn Path. So I'll receive first, then Path of Phenax. View top 2. I'm pretty much only banning something if it's like Skotha. If it's Skotha, because I can get back to establishmentarianism. Oy, not cards I want to see on top. No way I bin these, right? No way I crack receive for these either, right? Move to top of library. We're keeping both on top. Keep both on top. And then path just fizzles. So Phenax count is 1. And here's what we're going to do. This is 7, 8, 9. You sacrifice twice and discard once. And the reason I'm doing sacrifice twice, discard once is in case they have a flash creature in hand. Odonos Smuggler and Maim. Maim not quite going to be able to hit Innering's Pupil here. All right, so we mill 1 card here, but... Innering's Pupil is going to be real annoying for them. They go to 11. Alrighty. Main 2. We're just going to play Forlorn Path. Shuts off any hand attack they might have. I don't really want to be cycling things with Phenax in play, because that gives them life gain. I will move to end step, mill 1. Tough Nut, I knew about. And Failed Gateway, I'm fine to draw here because that's a thing I'm comfortable discarding to all that remains. Opponent lingering for a moment. What do they have? If they have removal for Innering's Pupil, they play it. Otherwise, I see no reason to. Unless it's like a creature with ETB value, but that's pretty limited in their deck, at least at 4 mana. Like, Merciless Ruiner would be annoying, but that's... yeah, they're just going to pass. So, we untap. We draw the Failed Gateway we knew about. This becomes our program. See if they have a response to Jack. They say, okay. We unattach Jack here. Set counters to 3. And then go to combat. Swing in. They discard Earthly Penchants. We gain 1. They take 4. And then we just move to main 2. And I think we're just going to pass. I thought about cracking Receive there, but would rather hold on to it for a moment in case they draw hand attack here. Just anything I can avoid giving for them to enable Phenax here is ideal. And yeah, we're finding the weakness of Phenax here. When your resources are expended, you're kind of just stuck staring down the opponent. And suddenly we have really turned things around for us. This game was starting to slip away hard, and now we kind of just have the steering wheel. I should have reanimated Innering's Pupil a turn or two sooner. That is just a full mistake of mine. Opponent is moving to end step after Phenax trigger resolves. We're going to crack Receive and draw 2, paying 2 life. You can just get rid of these. This goes on the stack before we draw. Let's see what we got. Forest and Hang. Alrighty. We untap. We draw another removal spell. Lots of removal in hand for us. Actually, is it wiser for us to not play the land yet? No, I think what we're going to do here, we're going to go to combat. See if they do anything. Swing with the Innering's Pupil. They discard Path of Phenax. We gain 1, move to damage, they take 3. Main 2. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If we can get 3 Jack triggers here. I see... oh! Inklight Dancer does it. Inklight Dancer. That's how we get there. Pay 1 and 2. +1 Jack. Targeting Inklight Dancer. Opponent says, GG's. We got there! We beat Phenax, the reigning champion commander of the format. Turns out even when the opponent is invested in milling us, even when their mill engine punishes us for that plan, we still can just outmaneuver them, and gaining life on our end step isn't going to work if we're just going to kill you on main 2. All right, so we're still in the running, folks. I'll be entirely honest with you all. If we lost this round, I was going to play a round 3 anyways. I really like how Brawl is feeling so far. Even with some very awkward opening hands there, having the mulligan twice in game 2, I should run the numbers more often on how likely it is for us to find one-landers. It is ultimately just a case of variance. So, even if it's like a 1 in a million chance that it happens, that still means there's a chance that it happens. And I know for a fact that the math is much more favorable that I find a 1-lander or even a 0-lander. So realistically, let's be a bit generous to these rougher hands, and that's part of why it's fine that we have the free mulligan as well. So we're in it for round 3. We'll see how round 3 shapes up. This GP has been a lot of fun so far, and if you haven't already seen it, I intend to put a time card up here. There should be one on the screen right now, and there should also be a link in the description below. I probably should have mentioned this at the start of the video. If you have not seen it already, the next set for Revolution has been announced and revealed. It is Exalts of Twiltree, designed by Zangy, the same designer who made the soon-to-rotate Theros Age of Trax. So while we're losing a Zangy set, we're not going to be down on a total number of Zangy sets in the format. We're swapping one out for another. Exalts has a lot of really powerful cards, some things that are probably due to get changed, so we'll have a lot to talk about in the patch notes most likely, but it's I highly recommend you check out the review of the set as you have time. It's a long video, 3.5 hours, I believe, if I'm right. So obviously, don't push yourself through watching it like I pushed myself through recording it. Pace yourself as you enjoy watching, but I would highly recommend you go check that out if you're at all interested to see how the format's going to shake up after this tournament and after this month. Beyond that, I look forward to the next round. I look forward to the building hype for Exalts of Twiltree. There's going to be a lot of powerful strategies in the field, getting a lot of support in that new set, and I'm really thrilled for a lot of the cards we talked about there. So again, highly recommend you check out the set review. Link is in the description. Time card's probably gone by now, but there'll be that waiting for you as you please. And beyond that, I will see you all in the next round. And beyond, and other than the next round, I will see you all in the Revolution chat. Take care, everyone.